All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a paradox that honestly can be pretty unsettling for a lot of people. It's one of those questions that really makes you stop and think about reward, consequence, and this whole idea of, well, prosperity.
So here's the big question. Why does it seem like some of the most secular nations out there are also the most prosperous? I mean, you look around and you see incredible technology, economic stability, and then you see other places, deeply religious places, that seem to be stuck in this cycle of hardship. It's a contradiction that just doesn't seem to add up, and we've got to take a closer look.
And the contrast is, well, it's pretty stark when you lay it out. On one hand, you've got places like Japan, China, and much of the West just swimming in material prosperity. But on the other hand, you see so many societies with incredibly deep religious beliefs that just seem to be caught in this endless loop of turmoil and conflict. And you can see why that's a really unsettling thing for people of faith to look at.
This right here, this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that internal conflict, you know? It's that little whisper of doubt that creeps in. If we're right, why are we struggling so much? And if they're wrong, how come they're so successful? It forces you to ask a really tough question. Does being rich or successful in this world actually mean you're on the right path?
Okay, but what if we're looking at this whole thing from the wrong angle? Let's try flipping the script for a second and explore a completely different perspective. What if the fundamental question we should be asking is worldly wealth even the real prize?
So, from this theological point of view, the whole game changes. The key idea is that worldly possessions, all the stuff, the money, the success, they're not the ultimate prize. Think of them more like a temporary enjoyment, something you get to have in this life, but definitely not the final reward waiting for you in the hereafter.
Okay, so if all that success isn't a reward for being right, what in the world is it then? Well, this perspective we're looking at offers a pretty radical idea. It's not a reward at all. It's the ultimate price.
And here it is, the absolute core of the argument. From this point of view, for someone who doesn't believe in an afterlife, everything they get in this world, all the success, all the wealth, that's it. That's their full and final payment. It's not a bonus, it's not a down payment on something later, it's the final paycheck, cashed in full right here and now. For them, there is nothing else.
And that leads us to this, a big, stark zero. Because according to this viewpoint, if your entire payment was handed over in this life, what's left for the next? Well, the balance is zero. Simple as that.
Now, this whole way of looking at wealth, it's actually built on something much bigger. It's about the very nature of truth itself. So let's shift gears a little bit and dig into this idea of stability. Why is it that truth is seen as something so solid and firm, while lies just crumble?
Just look at the breakdown here, it's pretty clear. On the one side, you have truth. Its foundation, stable and consistent. Its language, factual, specific. How do you defend it? With evidence and logic. And it lasts. Then you've got falsehood. Its foundation is totally unstable, full of contradictions. It uses vague, emotional language. And when it's challenged, it defaults to personal attacks and drama. It's built to collapse.
You know, there's a really great way to think about this that makes it super clear. Let's call it the courtroom test. It's the perfect way to see just how quickly lies completely unravel when you put them under even a little bit of pressure.
Okay, so picture this. You're in a courtroom. 5 different witnesses are called up, and they're all trying to tell the same lie. It's never gonna work. The first one says, Sattar stole $1 million. The next one says, no, it was Ghaffar, and it was only 100,000. Then the third one chimes in, you're both wrong, it wasn't even money, Jamshed stole gold. Then they start arguing about whether it was a Monday or Tuesday. You see, it's chaos. A single truth would be consistent, but a bunch of lies about the same event just fall apart into a mess of contradictions.
So, if a lie can't stand up on a foundation of solid facts, what does it have left? What does it use to prop itself up? Well, the argument is that it leans on one main tool, emotion. Its whole game is based on deception.
And there's the classic playbook for this. You've probably seen it a million times. Step 1, make a big, broad emotional claim, like, he's a terrible person. Step 2, whatever you do, avoid specific provable facts. Step 3, if they push back, just resort to personal attacks and name-calling. And finally, step 4, if all else fails, just start shouting. Create some drama to distract everyone from the fact that you have zero evidence.
Okay, so we've got this idea of stable truth versus emotional falsehood. What does that mean for us? How are we supposed to navigate a world that's just full of noise?
Well, the answer proposed here is to start thinking like a researcher, to get on that path of seeking out the truth for yourself.
And this is such a crucial point. Researchers are often unpopular for a reason, because the public, let's be honest, all of us sometimes, can be swayed by catchy slogans and big emotions. That's the easy path. The harder path, the researcher's path, means you have to dig deep, really do the work, and form a careful opinion, not just react to all the noise on the surface.
And that really brings us to the most crucial point of all this, figuring out what's true and what isn't, and maybe even getting a handle on that big paradox we started with. It isn't just about going with your gut feeling. It's about committing to real, careful, deliberate investigation.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. We live in a world that is just saturated with emotional noise and catchy slogans. So what does it really take to cut through all of that and find something that's actually a stable, lasting truth?